Hey, what up, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG, bro. Like, bro, it's just 2 new cards, but it's gas. Like, bro, this format is fire. So check it out. Like, all right, so I've already been messing around with Sinful Spoils and Infernoid. Like, I know that Rescue Ace is like the obvious choice for a lot of people, but like, I knew that this deck was getting more support. This is one of my favorite decks. Like, it loses to itself so often. It's kind of like aggravating to play, and playing it conventionally, like the traditional way that you want to play Infernoids, just hasn't been successful and hasn't been working for a long time. However, the Snake Eye cards really shook things up. They definitely added new layers to diversity in how the deck is able to actually start its plays and layer its interruptions while establishing its board at the same time. I think this deck is really, really good now. Like, I think it's really, really good. Like, it has some of the most powerful cards, right? Like you think about a format, whenever there's a format where, like, the decks that were prevalent or, like, the dominant forces in the forefront of the meta, like, the best decks of the format, you know, this deck was crazy if they're, like, graveyard reliant. Like, if we were playing against, like, Shadalls, you know, that's when, like, this deck was goated against, like, Shadalls and Necros. And, like, now it's really, really good because, like, Rescue Ace does actually care, like, about its graveyard because it needs to bench cards out of its graveyard to play. Like, Tier Limits care about their graveyard, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. Even Unchained cares about their graveyard. So, like, it's cool that this deck always had the niche where, like, it was really good against decks that utilize their graveyard as a secondary resource, while also at the same time having, like, a lot of cards that are just, like, custom, bro. Like, these cards are broken, but they're so hard to get out, and it's so hard to consistently put them on the field. But once they hit the field, it feels so nice. I mean, like, you can literally summon Deviati, wipe, and if your opponent tries to respond with a monster at the same chain, like, Deviati just negates it. You know, this deck's kind of crazy. Like, Lair Infernoids is pretty nice too, you know. So, like, this deck has really, really powerful cards. It's really efficient with breaking boards, and I can show you guys some really cool interactions. Maybe I'll just talk about it a little bit. But there's a lot of cool interactions. Like, this deck's engine is good going first and going second, and it's hard to pick which way because, like, you want to crutch on Void Imagination as a starter when the deck's not that consistent. But these decks changed everything for this archetype. You're able to summon Decatron like 5 times now, bro. Like, it's literally crazy. Like, this deck is just doing the absolute most. You Calamities lock your opponent while you already have a full field. Like, it's crazy. Like, it doesn't matter if they stop the Calamities lock or not. Like, you literally have a full field and ridiculous follow-up. So, I think it's really, really, really good right now. I think Infernoid's really, really good. These cards are coming out in, I believe, February. So, they're still a mile away. However, I really wanted to talk about these cards, specifically Populace, Bonfire, and the Bestower of Flames, like what these cards do for Infernoid specifically. I mean, they do a lot for like every fire deck, to be honest. Like that Fire King deck, Infernobles, Infernoids, Rescue Ace. Like, there's a lot of fire decks that really do benefit from these. This definitely is like the year of fire, and honestly, moving forward in 2024, it's probably still gonna be that way. So the format's really heating up, bro. Like, I'm just saying, it's really nice. So let's talk about these cards. So Bonfire is a card that we're getting next year, around February. So it's just simple. It's just a Rota for a level 4 or lower Pyro monster, but it's everything. And I mean, this is good for Volcanics and other decks too, but like specifically with Populace, because Populace has... I'll read you this card, but this is what makes like this card crazy. This is a 1-card combo. This is like 1-card FTK. So it like Calamities lock. Like, it's crazy. So with Populace, if it's added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special it, so it's already an extender in that nature. However, drawing it by itself is not bad, because if it's no more special summon, you can add 1 Snake Eye spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And then if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 fire monster in your graveyard, place it face up in its owner's spell or trap zone as a continuous spell, which is really, really cool. That's neat. That's nifty. That actually, there are some applications for that where it really does matter, because like I play the Snake Eye Flamberg Dragon, so there are really cool interactions like that you can get on your opponent's turn. Like, even just with this card alone, so there's some crazy stuff you could do with this card. Like, it's one of my favorite things, like with Fenrir. Like, Fenrir in this, if Fenrir with the Snake Eye cards is just too good. Like, Fenrir is literally a free body that replaces itself, and it pays as fodder for the Snake Eyes, even if you don't have Populace, if you're just working with Ash alone, to like get out Populace if you want to, and then just keep going. Fenrir is crazy because not only does it act as a free body that replaces itself, so you can send it for cost with the Snake Eyes, and still have a Fenrir in hand, but also you can literally use Flamberg to target the Fenrir in your grave, put it in your spell trap zone, and then summon it on your opponent's turn to still have Finn as an interruption. And I mean, this card works with anything. Like, you can out your opponent's Baron and then put it in your spell trap zone on your opponent's turn, summon the Baron you took from your opponent. But just off the rip, this card gives you ridiculous follow-up. Like, and Populous lets you access this card even more frequently. Like, this card is a powerhouse. Like, this card actually is crazy. This, like, is an honorary Infernoid monster. I mean, it lets you loop all of your resources, like, infinitely. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, Populous is crazy. The fact that you can just turn this into a Link Rebel or an Anima, and it immediately becomes the cost for Snake Eye, while also giving you fodder to go into cards like Little Knight, for example. It's just so much advantage playing into boards, and honestly, it's so much pressure, because like, it's crazy that these cards can trade with non-engine that doesn't destroy or like is not spot removal, just normal hand traps like Impermanence, Veiler, Ghost Mourner, and these cards just still get so much value because like, this card just being a free Anima plus fodder for Snake Eye means like this card can be met with an Ash Blossom, because like, who would Ash this, right? You want to save your Ash for Snake Eye. You don't want to get punished by them like having another route to Snake Eye. But like, this card can get ashed and like you still have an Anima, so if they played into Anima, you're still going to bait out a free interruption before you even activate the Snake Eye anyways. And on top of that, you still have fodder for Little Knight, which is just so much free real estate for no reason whatsoever. So the card's absolutely custom. It's really, really broken. It makes Bonfire one card combo. Like, also, Snake Eye Ash is an honorary starter now. Like, this card really didn't do much in my Infernoid list prior. It was able to add Decatron, but I had to go out of my way to get the Decatron engraved. I had to, like, discard Decatron of Vanishment. Like, even then, it just really wasn't that good. So, like, Snake Eye Ash is really, really powerful now because, like, you can just summon Ash and go straight into Populous. And the same thing for Bonfire. Bonfire can just go straight into the Ash. I, however, do like having 3 copies of Ash as opposed to 3 copies of Bonfire. I think this is just a better opener. Like, this deck can play into Droll, and this is just a better card too. But like, this card makes the deck like this card alone is everything. Like, this one card, even without Bonfire, just like playing 3 of this and 3 Ash, you actually get like 6 more starters on top of like your Seeker. Because like, Simple Spells is really good. It's a good card. Like, it's only at 3, and like, I don't want to play 3 Witch just so I can get more starters, and that's something that I was forced to do. Is like, I had to play 3 Witch and 3 Spoils, so that I effectively had 7 copies of Snake Eye. And even then, there were games that I still didn't see it. Like, even with Pros, so that's technically like 9 copies of it. But now, like with Pros, you have 3, 6, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15 ways to get into your Snake Eye engine, which is broken because the Snake Eye engine is literally everything for the Infernoids. Infernoids have no starters whatsoever. Like, Vanishment is only a turn 1 starter if you go into Imagination and you're going second. Other than that, you're searching Feast, you are setting it, and you are passing your turn. And hopefully you had a way to mill a bunch of Noids in your grave and summon out a Deviati to protect you. But like, the best opening that Infernoids has right now as like a 2-card combination is like Decatron, dump Deviati, protect yourself from Ash on Vanishment and Feast, and like have 4 interruptions, which is powerful. It's 4 interruptions, but like, how often do you draw that? Never very often, and the deck is super inconsistent. It bricks a lot. You draw these cards, which are technically bad cards to draw, but like, now it's so much better, and the new support that's coming out for this deck is actually custom, bro. Like, this deck is gonna get crazier. I don't even know how to fit all the cards that I want, but just this card alone is insane. It's so insane for so many decks. But that's not it, bro. Like, we're gonna talk about this card too. This card is I don't know why they're doing so much for Fire, but I'm here for it, bro. I am literally here for it. This card is absolutely nuts. So it's basically, just think of it as what are some links that are kind of like it? It is kind of like a Charmer, like a Splash Mage, like a Selene. It just summons a fire from your grave. So I'll just read it to you. You can't special summon monsters except fire monsters. That's only while it's on the field. So you just, whenever you link this card off, you have to summon another fire in order to get rid of it. Like, Infernoids can technically like clear it with their own cards. Like, you never really want to do that. So once per turn during your main phase, you can special a fire monster from your graveyard. So that's broken. That's very, very broken. It doesn't target either, which is really cool that you don't have to designate your target. You just have to declare effect, and on resolution, you get what you want. Decatron's a fire. Yeah. So, like, you loop Decatron, you get Decatron so many times in one turn, it's ridiculous. Like, you literally get Decatron like 4 to 5 times, sometimes just twice if you're getting hand trapped. But just like to be able to resolve Decatron more than once is more than enough. because like you're using Decatron to modify its level to go into some crazy synchros. Like this is Decatron is what makes the Calamity's Lock possible in this deck. On top of that, Decatron like makes a lot of synchro options possible and XYZ options possible. Decatron is just a really, really powerful card. It's the only good Infernoid monster to draw by itself. Literally, it's the only card you can play by itself. And this deck, it just literally abuses Decatron to the maximum. So Decatron, it being a level 1 fire, is the reason why these cards work with this deck, and it's the entire engine. Like, it's everything. Like, if these cards weren't summoning Decatron, I just wouldn't be playing this deck. So it has another effect that's pretty good. Like, so this is the thing. Like, it literally gets you follow up. It gets you a pseudo interruption that like it's kind of layered though, and that's the thing. Like, it's something that can be a looming threat that your opponent may or may not take notice of. Like, I mean, Little Knight's in the format, so there are ways to deal with this card, but however, it's the fact that it's just another interruption for no reason while still being follow-up. Like, the card is pressure, it's a disruption, like, it's follow-up every turn. It's like literally, it's crazy, and it's it's an extender. It's like literally so many things in one, packed up into one card. It's actually just broken. So like while it's in the grave, if your opponent summons a monster or if a monster is just special to your opponent's field, like you can actually force that to happen, but you don't need to. You target one fire monster you control and one monster your opponent controls, destroy them, and if you do, special this card, which is just crazy. So crazy that for no reason, like you use this card to get your Decatron out again, boy. You do what you want to do with it, put it in the grave, and it comes back every single turn. It can come back on both turns, like your turn and your opponent's turn, over and over. It doesn't go away. Like a lot of cards like this would either like go to the bottom of the deck or be banished. Like this card, it just doesn't go away. Like, however, like, you know, thank you Jesus that this card exists, right? But still, like, dude, this card's broken. Honestly, it's literally pressure that your opponent has to play through every turn for no reason, and all it does is make your follow-up just overkill. Like, it turns your follow-up into a form of crackback where like you start your turn with all these interruptions that put up negations if your opponent doesn't stop them. So your follow-up also is like pseudo cross-out designators, pseudo tactics talents. They're literally just layered interruptions that transmute into cards that allow you to set your turn up while baiting everything your opponent has out before you actually start initiating any like plays that you need to engage your opponent to kill them or to build your own board. This is crazy. This card is literally crazy. So some cool cards, like I did some research. There's not a lot of crazy fire links. Like I looked at the first thing I thought of when reading this card and being fire locked, I was like, Fire Charmer, that makes sense. Like we're in a format where Rescue Ace exists too. Like so Charmer's always gonna be pretty nice, and she's really good in this deck. She has a lot of synergy. She's really good, and we're in a format where the Snake Eye cards are probably gonna be played. And minimum, we're definitely gonna see like people playing this card minimum, even if they're not playing the Snake Eye monster. So it's gonna be free real estate, but this card becomes even more powerful like when you play against a pseudo mirror match that runs the actual Snake Eye cards. Like Populous, like to Charmer for your opponent's Populous is just like, this card's too good. However, like you can also use this to make cards like Pit Knight early, which is also like, it's actually a good card. Like it mainly sees plays in Sprite decks, but like this card's pretty nice. It is another disruption that you can actually set this up to chain on your opponent's turn onto another disruption. So like you have two disruptions going off as a chain link resolves, which helps to play around talents because it's not like they're layered, but it's not like they're separate. You could diversify it in that way where like you can, like for example, you can activate like Decatron as a monster, like anything, like, and just activate it to like banish something, to negate something, and chain Pin Knight early to target something, negate it, make it 0 as well, which is crazy. Just is absolutely crazy. And for whatever reason, this card has another effect that I seldom read and it doesn't really come up, but like if this card's in the graveyard because it's destroyed and sent there, you just special summon it. So this also makes your crackback more crazy because like this card will come back as well as Princess will come back. Like, and that's not even it. There's another card that's not even really broken, but like what it does is it gives you a sticky board. It's like if you're playing against Branded or Shaddolls, or you're playing against Sky Strikers, you're playing against Tearlaments, as you clear their board, you're going to give them cards. So any deck that's playing fire cards now, that minimum is just playing the Snake Eye cards, can like easily access these cards, and these cards make your boards more strategic. Your opponent has to approach it more strategically, and they have to actually systematically pick the board apart with a specific quality disruption or spot removal. If they take your cards out in the wrong way, they're going to get punished. You're going to get more follow-up, and you're going to start clearing their cards. Like, this card is kind of dumb. Like, the effect on field's whatever. However, we'll read it anyways. It's a Link 4, and it's like a good card to use as Link material, like when you're climbing to go into Pit Knight early, which is really nice. So, first effect is, if this card's destroyed, you can reborn a Link 3 or lower monster in either graveyard. So, this is actually really, really good, because, like, you can theoretically take your opponent's Pit Knight, which it's probably never going to get to the grave, but like you can take like any Link you want from your opponent, including their own, you know, bestower if it's there. But what's also really, really cool is that if a Link 3 or lower is on the field and destroyed by battle or card effect, well, this card's in your grave, you just banish it and destroy a card. So like you take this as part of your climbing on your turn 1 combo, put it in the grave, and when you end on cards like Pit Knight early or Masquerena, those cards have to be dealt with. And if they're destroyed by anything, this card's going to trigger and pop a card, as well as this card being able to trigger. And like, let me just specify right now. It says if a Link 3 or lower monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, not specifying whose card effect it is. It could be your own card effect. Why does that matter? Because like, you can leave a fire monster on field, and if your opponent plays at all any type of Yu-Gi-Oh, like Princess can pop your card and theirs to summon itself, and then trigger this card to pop another one of their cards, and then this card also being destroyed by battle or card effect does not have to be destroyed by your opponent's cards. Like, you can literally use Pit Knight early to negate, pop it with your Princess, trigger this card, pop off of this, Pit Knight early comes back, this is back for follow-up. For why? For absolutely no reason at all. That's exactly why. So it's really good. I think it's really, really powerful. This works with so many decks, but I'm specifically making this video about Infernoids. This is like a dark horse deck. This is not really going to be played. There's not, like, I don't know. I literally tried to look at deck profiles. There's like nothing but like weird YGO Pro like channels that are playing this deck. Nobody in real life is like messing with these cards. So yeah, I just think this deck's crazy. I'll talk about one line and then I'll get out of your hair. I promise I'm done, bro. I'll get out of your hair and I'll be done. You guys can just tell me to shut up. So we talked about some interactions with like Fenrir. Fenrir is also, obviously, if you guys didn't know, Fenrir is kind of goated in this deck in general, especially including with droplets. You can actually, playing into, for example, the Unchained board, if you summon Fenrir, like, and they don't just pop it on the spot, and if they do, you just chain droplets anyways, and just negate their what's the guy's name? Their freaking Wave King Caesar. But like, theoretically, Fenrir can resolve, get another Fenrir, and you can preemptively try to use Fenrir's effect, or you can just droplet the Fenrir array and hit Wave King Caesar, and then just special summon the new Fenrir from your hand that you searched off the first one, and then that will play into your opponent's board, first forcing them to use the trap or their Unchained Abomination. But I don't think they would use the Unchained. They would use the trap first, and then Yama back the Abomination so that they can actually link off of your monsters. And like, spot removal is okay against this deck, but it's really not that crazy. But like, Fenrir with droplet interactions against any deck is crazy. Fenrir is just really, really crazy. Like, honestly, like, it's too good to not play in this deck. Like, so here's how things can work going second. So like, let's say you've baited out your opponent's interruptions and you're working bare bones, like, with a, like, I don't want to high roll it, because like, if you have imagination or anything that accesses it after you've baited all your opponent's interruptions, the game's literally over. But if you just have Snake Eye Ash or anything that accesses it, which opening Snake Eye Ash is technically better than opening Sinful Spoils, because like, you can just summon Snake Eye Ash, go into Populous effect at the Snake Eye, link this off into Anima, suck up your opponent's monster. That's a removal one. That's one card you've already cleared. This will go to Spell Trap Zone, do the combo, activate this. You can send this from the Spell Trap Zone off as a fodder, summon Decatron number 1, Decatron effect, send Entra effect to bounce, because this is now Entra. That's spot removal number 2. Snake Eye Ash, send himself off in Decatron to summon out Oak, bring back Decatron effect, dump Petrulia or Harmadic, pop another card, that's spot removal number 3, and then you're going to go Oak effect, send those two off, go into Flamberg Dragon effect, target, if you baited out a Baron, target your opponent's Baron that you already baited, popped with Harmadic, and then just put it in your Spell Trap Zone. Or if your opponent has some more cards to clear, target one of their monsters, put it in the Spell Trap Zone, spot removal number 4, and then you link this and your Anima off into Little Knight, chain block this effect, Little Knight effect, banish a card, that's power move number 5. This effect brings back Decatron plus another card. Decatron can then dump like Petrulia still, or Saitama's, or just one of the boss monsters, like literally for no reason. Like you can dump Deviati, for example, and Little Knight clears a 5th card. Decatron resolves again for the for no reason. So Decatron can then dump, just for example, like Petrulia, if you already did Entra and Harmonic, pop another card. That's bottom move number 6. Then you can literally take the Little Knight and the Decatron, go into Princess for no reason, right? So you've already cleared 6 cards. Princess, bring back Decatron for the 4th time. Decatron effect, dump like one of the big ones, like Deviati or like Saitama's or whatever. Like, you can literally kill like 7 cards for no reason, and then like you're not even done. That's the thing, like you're not even done. Like you can use Decatron, like just dump anything, like dump like a big one, like a higher level one, and then take this and the Decatron and then climb up into like a Charmer, for example, and then just like take one of your opponent's cards for whatever reason you need to. Like, or you just climb all the way up into this guy, and then you can go summon a Nunku if you dumped it off Decatron, finish wiping the board after you cleared like 7 cards, literally destroy this actual card, and then get its effect to bring back like your Little Knight. You know what I mean? Like, why for no reason at all? And like it's just broken. Like literally, you break an entire board and establish follow-up and disruptions off of one Snake Eye Ash. You get like 7 spot removals and like a board wipe, or just 8 spot removals and like multiple layer disruptions. Like that's one of the most goated plays you can make with this deck, with the Snake Eye cards, just working off of just Ash. With the Infernoids being able to systematically pick the board apart. Oh, it can't be destroyed? You bounce it. Oh, it has to go to the grave? You banish it with Saitama's. Oh, like if you negate it and destroy it, it'll trigger a tier limit name. You can banish it with your DD Grow effect, or just negate it and banish it. I'm just saying, dude. That's all I gotta say. Like the same Snake Eye line, also, you can just take the Populace that added the sinful spoil Snake Eye, overlay the Ash and the Populace, go into Kinka Nagashi, just go into a hard summon Zeus, force something out, Zeus sticks or Zeus doesn't, but either way, this card is pretty crazy, because it's just if it's sent to the graveyard, not the field. So when you detach this as a material from Zeus, it will get its effect to go to the spell trap zone, so that it is now free real estate for your Sinful Spoil Snake Eye to resolve after you Zeus your opponent. So there's too many ways to break a board, and that's without imagination. And typically that's how this deck crutches a rig board, so now this deck is crazy. This deck's insane going first, it'll Calamities lock you, or just put up a regular layered disruption board, or going second, it will literally poke every card out of existence. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of these cards in general. Let me know how I did. Peace.